famous Dancing Dolls star shot dead moments after her dedicated party. This is Shakira Gatlin, a 13-year-old reality television dancer who would be found dead in the most gruesome way possible just 2 weeks after celebrating her birthday. But what makes this case particularly heartbreaking is that Shakira wasn't just any teenager. She was a rising star, a head co-captain and drill master for the Dancing Dolls for Life, the same troupe that brought hip-hop majorette dance into millions of living rooms through Lifetime's hit show, Bring It. And on the evening of February 2nd, 2022, everything changed. But before we get to the devastating details of that night, let me take you back to where it all began. Because understanding who Shakira was makes what happened next even more difficult to process.
Here is leading these fans like a boss. I've been dancing with the Dolls for 6 years. And growing up, I was real shy. So when I dance, I just let it all out.
Shakira Gatlin was born on January 19, 2003 in Jackson, Mississippi, one of 6 siblings in what friends and family consistently described as a close-knit family. Jackson itself is a city that carries weight. It's the state capital, but it's also a place where opportunities for young black teenagers can feel limited, where poverty rates run high, and where violence has become an unfortunate constant. But while many teenagers in Jackson faced these limited opportunities, Shakira found her path through dance. In 2015, at just 12 years old, she joined the Dancing Dolls for Life, a troupe that wasn't simply about learning choreography and performing routines. The organization, founded in 2010 by Diana Williams, had studios spread across Jackson, Birmingham in Alabama, and Atlanta.
Dollhouse Dance Factory and made a primetime national TV debut on the reality show Bring It. 16 WAPT's Jennifer Ortega is live tonight from a watch party at the dance studio, and it sounds like they're very excited behind you, Jennifer.
Stephanie, the show just ended. A lot of excitement here at the studio. People just starting to leave. The Lifetime premiere aired at 9 p.m. tonight, and it was packed. A big screen was set up to watch the episode, the first episode of Bring It. The Dancing Dolls and parents just saying it's surreal to see themselves on the national network.
It's been rough some days, it's been fun some days, it's been exciting. It just has its moments, and we just taking it all in one day at a time.
The girls have worked so hard over these last few months, and I'm excited to see what America thinks, and I hope that we can make Mississippi proud. Watching my daughter, I can say the most memorable moment was watching her just grow. You know, in this short time, she has changed so much, and I'm just proud of her.
Jimmy and Lifetime producers say the show is quickly trending on Twitter. Live in Jackson, Jennifer Ortega, 16 WAPT News.
It looks like they like being on TV, Jennifer.
The philosophy behind DD4L went far beyond dance moves. It emphasized personal development, including self-esteem, academic excellence, determination, and physical health, while teaching various styles like hip-hop, tap, ballet, jazz, pom-pom, and majorettes. Williams created an environment where young women could thrive, where they learned discipline and responsibility alongside their dance training. For Shakira, this wasn't just an after-school activity. It became her identity, her community, and her platform for growth. It gave her structure during formative years and connected her with girls who understood the same struggles and celebrated the same victories. Within a few years, Shakira rose to become head co-captain and drill master, leadership positions that reflected both her technical skill and her ability to inspire others. The role of drill master is particularly significant in majorette culture. It's not just about being the best dancer, it's about teaching precision, maintaining formation integrity, and holding the entire troupe accountable for their performance standards. You have to be someone other dancers respect, someone who can critique without crushing spirits, someone who leads by example rather than through authority alone. People who knew her talked about a fascinating contradiction. She was confident, commanding attention, and leading high-energy teenagers through complex routines, yet she remained humble, never letting recognition inflate her ego. Her involvement with Bring It, the Lifetime reality series that aired for 5 seasons, brought Shakira into a different spotlight. The show followed coach Diana Williams preparing the dancing dolls for hip-hop and majorette competitions, but it was more than just competition footage. For viewers across the country, particularly young black girls who rarely saw themselves reflected in mainstream media, these young women were role models, demonstrating what could be achieved through dedication. Shakira became part of that representation, someone whose journey from shy 12-year-old to confident leader played out across television screens. But while Shakira's public life flourished, her family had been shattered by violence. 5 months before her death, on September 14, 2021, Shakira's father, Derek Robinson, was shot and killed in Jackson. It happened around 6:30 a.m. near Silas Brown Street and Handy Avenue, close to a Family Dollar and a gas station known for crime problems. Early morning shootings in areas like this often go unsolved because there are fewer witnesses, less foot traffic, and a general reluctance among residents to come forward with information. The community knows what happens to people who talk to police in neighborhoods where retaliation is real. Derek Robinson, 40 years old, was found beside his white F-150 truck with fatal gunshot wounds. He was pronounced dead on the scene. The Jackson Police Department opened a homicide investigation, but months passed without arrests, suspects, or clear motives. His case became one of many unsolved murders in Jackson, a city that saw record-breaking homicide rates in 2021. His sister publicly called for the gas station to be shut down, pointing to it as a recurring hotspot for criminal activity, but those calls went nowhere. The business remained open, the area remained dangerous, and nothing changed. For Shakira and her mother, Erica Robinson, this loss created a wound that would never heal. Erica had to bury her husband while supporting 6 children through grief. Think about what that means practically. She had to plan a funeral while making sure her kids ate, went to school, processed their own trauma. She had to be strong for them while dealing with the reality that her husband's killer was still out there, still free, possibly still in the same neighborhood. Yet life continued. Then came January 19th, 2022, Shakira's 19th birthday. But that moment was fragile. Just 2 weeks later, on February 2nd, 2022, around 8:40 p.m., Shakira was at a home on the 100 block of Barnes Street. What should have been an ordinary evening turned into her final moments. Inside that home, a juvenile male was handling a loaded handgun. The specifics of why he had the gun, where it came from, what he was doing with it remain unclear from official reports. The gun discharged accidentally, striking Shakira in the head. The injury was catastrophic. A gunshot wound to the head at close range leaves little room for survival. Emergency responders rushed to the scene, dispatched by someone at the house who called 911, but she was pronounced dead in that house on Barnes Street. The Jackson Police Department began investigating immediately. They questioned the juvenile male, trying to piece together what happened. His account was consistent. He described the shooting as an accident while handling the gun. There was no dispute, no indication of intent, no suggestion Shakira was targeted. The consistency of his story matters in legal terms. If he had changed his account multiple times, or if there were contradictions, or if witnesses disputed his version, that would have signaled something more sinister. But from an investigative standpoint, everything pointed to exactly what he said it was, a terrible accident born from careless handling of a deadly weapon. The police classified it as accidental rather than homicide. No arrests were made, nor were charges filed. The circumstances supported the accidental classification, and that was enough to close the investigation. This is where people feel uncomfortable with how the justice system handles certain cases. Yes, legally this was an accident, but does that mean no accountability? Does the person whose negligence led to Shakira's death face no consequences? What about the adult who owned that gun and left it accessible to a juvenile? Were they even questioned? These questions linger in cases like this, creating a sense that justice wasn't truly served, even if the legal process followed its prescribed path.
A 19-year-old died in Jackson last week. Well, this week, 19-year-old Shakira Gatlin Wednesday night of this week on Barnes Street. Gatlin is a former member of the Dancing Dolls, a Jackson group made famous on the reality TV series Bring It, which aired on Lifetime. Investigators say a boy was questioned about that. He told police it was an accidental. This is another heartbreaking tragedy for Gatlin's family. Her father, 40-year-old Derek Robinson, pictured here with his daughter, was shot and killed in September on West Silas Brown Street. Investigators say he was shot while sitting in a truck. Gatlin's mother tells 3 on Your Side a GoFundMe page has been set up to help the family with expenses.
Shakira's mother, Erica Robinson, expressed profound grief on social media. First, she buried her husband after his unsolved murder. Then, just 5 months later, her daughter after this accident. The kind of pain that creates is difficult to comprehend. She noted the double tragedy, that within half a year she had lost both her husband and child to gun violence. A vigil was held on February 6th, 4 days after Shakira's death. Friends and family remembered her love for dance and peaceful nature. They lit candles, shared stories, held each other while crying. Some of her Dancing Dolls teammates performed in her honor, dancing through tears, channeling their grief into the art form Shakira loved. The vigil became a place where people could say out loud what they were feeling, where they could acknowledge that losing Shakira created a hole in their community that nothing would fill.
Friends and family remember a young woman who died after an accidental. Many say 18-year-old Shakira Gatlin loved to dance and was full of energy. She recently lost her dad to violence, and those who knew her say she was all about love and peace.
We live in days where every day, somebody is from anything, and then now we have to deal with and fighting and kidnapping and stuff like that. And Kira was just, she was just about love and just, being able to, make amends with each other instead of ending somebody's life.
Gatlin's funeral arrangements have not been made at this time.
Diana Williams, Dee Dee Pharrell founder and Shakira's coach, posted tributes remembering her as a talented dancer and beloved troupe member. For Williams, this loss hit hard. She had watched Shakira grow from a shy 12-year-old into a confident leader, trusted her with leadership roles, knowing she would represent Dee Dee Pharrell's values with grace.
I feel like I've never been considered as a vet, but this week I want to prove to Coach D that I can be a heavy hitter on the...
A GoFundMe campaign raised over $11,000 for funeral costs, showing how many people Shakira had touched. People who knew her, danced with her, or watched her on television came together to help the Robinson family. But this tragedy extended beyond Shakira's loss. Jackson has long struggled with high rates of gun violence, particularly involving young people. The city consistently ranks among Mississippi's most dangerous, with homicide rates far exceeding national averages. A significant portion involves juveniles as perpetrators or victims. Advocates have called for better firearm safety measures for years. They point to cases like Shakira's as evidence voluntary compliance isn't enough. If you own a gun and young people might access it, that weapon needs securing. Locked away, unloaded, ammunition stored separately. Common sense measures that could prevent countless tragedies. But in Mississippi's political climate, where gun rights are fiercely protected and any regulation is viewed with suspicion, these proposals go nowhere. The legislature has repeatedly rejected safe storage requirements, arguing they infringe on Second Amendment rights and place undue burdens on law-abiding gun owners. Meanwhile, young people keep dying in preventable accidents. And here's what makes this more heartbreaking. Shakira's case wasn't isolated within the Dancing Dolls community. 4 months after her death, another Dee Dee Pharrell member would be killed by gun violence. The Dancing Dolls, a troupe designed to uplift young black women and provide them with opportunities and structure, was losing members to the same violence that plagued their communities.
Start from the beginning. 5, 6, 7, 8.
16-year-old reality TV dancer Daishea Hall has died from violence. Daishea was a member of the Dancing Dolls, a troupe featured on Lifetime Television's Bring It.
That leap in the beginning.
The show followed choreographer Diana Williams as she prepared the Dancing Dolls for hip-hop and majorette competitions. Police say Daishea was shot and killed outside of a grocery store in Atlanta, Georgia on June 13th.
There was a dispute that then escalated to fire.
A 17-year-old boy was also shot in this incident. This is not the first time the Dancing Dolls has lost a member to 19-year-old Shakira Gatlin was killed on February 2, 2022, in what authorities have called an accidental mishandling of a firearm by a juvenile. Police have asked for anyone with information on the June 13th to contact Crime Stoppers at 404-577-8477. This is Inside Edition Digital.
It created a devastating pattern that Williams and the remaining dancers had to navigate while trying to maintain normalcy in their routines and competitions. On June 12, 2022, 16-year-old Daisha Hall, Shakira's second cousin, was shot and killed outside a Kroger in DeKalb County, Georgia. Different circumstances entirely. This wasn't an accident. A parking lot dispute escalated into gunfire, and Daisha was an innocent bystander caught in crossfire, not involved in the argument or connected to either group. Wrong place at the wrong time. She had gone to that Kroger for ordinary reasons, doing the kind of mundane errands that should never result in death. But when disputes escalate to gunfire in public spaces, bystanders become casualties. The shooters opened fire indiscriminately, not caring who else might be in the area, not considering that their bullets could strike anyone. Daisha's mother, Deonna McCord, dealt with grief while another tragedy hit that same day. Her second cousin, Vincent Parks Jr., was fatally shot outside Grady Memorial Hospital hours after Daisha was killed. 2 family members dead in one day. McCord talked about both tragedies tearing her apart. In Daisha's case, an arrest was made. 8 days later, DeAnthony Cullens turned himself in, charged with malice murder, aggravated assault, and aiming a gun. But as of late 2025, no public records show case resolution. Diana Williams, in tributes to both young women, talked about a disturbing pattern. 2 Dancing Dolls members dead from gun violence in less than 5 months. Both with bright futures, both killed in preventable circumstances. Williams described it as an epidemic, and she wasn't exaggerating. Youth gun violence has reached a crisis levels in many communities, disproportionately affecting Black teenagers in ways that destroy families and fracture neighborhoods. The trauma ripples outward, affecting not just immediate families but entire friend groups, classmates, teammates. Every young person who loses a peer to gun violence carries that weight forward, processing grief while trying to navigate their own adolescence. What makes these losses particularly painful is how preventable they are. Shakira didn't have to die. If that gun had been secured in a locked safe, if the juvenile hadn't accessed it, if the gun owner had used a trigger lock, if the weapon had been stored unloaded with ammunition in a separate location, if any of a dozen safety mechanisms existed, she would likely still be alive. The pathway to her death required multiple failures to occur simultaneously. Someone had to purchase that gun, bring it into that home, leave it accessible and loaded, and fail to secure it away from young people who might handle it improperly. Each of those decisions created the conditions for tragedy. Daisha didn't have to die. If those in the parking lot had walked away instead of reaching for guns, if conflict resolution skills had been taught and valued, if there had been any intervention before the situation escalated to violence, she would still be alive. If guns hadn't been immediately available to people having a dispute over something likely trivial, cooler heads might have prevailed. But in environments where carrying firearms is normalized and using them to settle disputes is seen as acceptable, these escalations happen repeatedly. These aren't complicated scenarios requiring elaborate solutions. Better choices, better laws, better enforcement, better education about conflict resolution. All of these could have saved lives. Instead, 2 families are torn apart, a dance community traumatized, and a broader public so numb to youth gun violence that these stories barely register beyond local news. 2 young women, both with national television exposure, both killed within months, yet these cases didn't generate sustained national attention. They became footnotes, brief moments of outrage that faded with the news cycle. For Erica Robinson, there is no moving on. She buried her husband in September 2021. She buried her daughter in February 2022. That kind of trauma doesn't fade. It becomes part of who you are, how you see the world, how you navigate each day knowing the people you loved most were taken by gun violence. These cases highlight systemic failures in gun safety, particularly around youth access to firearms. They demonstrate inadequate legal responses to accidental shootings. They reveal how communities of color bear disproportionate burdens from gun violence while receiving insufficient prevention resources. What do you think about these senseless deaths? Let me know in the comment section. Also, click on one of the cards on your screen to see more content like this.